12.02.17 Bronze Herm, ca. 490 BC. The world's full of children who grew up too fast. Gil Scotteron, a sign of the ages. Within a few hours of his birth, Hermes had already become a cattle thief, invented the lyre, innovated the art of divine worship, the alphabet, numbers, astronomy, music, the art of fighting, gymnastics, the cultivation of the olive tree, measures, weights, and many other things were among his inventions, according to Plutarch. Hermes was both the herald of the gods and the psychopomp, as friendly with the ruling powers on Mount Olympus as he was with the living and the dead of our kind. He managed all this while simultaneously presiding over all commerce, speech, and writing, the arts of social life and diplomacy, and likewise overseeing cunning, trickery, and theft, especially where charm was involved. Like Visa in the 1980s and 90s, he was everywhere you wanted, but also everywhere you didn't want to be. Being the god of roads, he was propitiated by both travelers and bandits. He is likewise the friend of all rappers and poets, who are often, of course, also liars and thieves. When Robert Johnson went to the crossroads in Rosedale, Mississippi, to sell his soul to the devil, Hermes, or perhaps Legba, with whom he is cognate, was there. The high deeds of little men, from David to Odysseus to Bruce Lee to Tyrion Lannister, are hermetic. Sleep, too, was under Hermes' control. Even though dreams came from the high command Zeus, it was up to Hermes whether or not you'd get to go to sleep at all. The Romans called him Mercury, otherwise known as the hot little planet closest to our sun, the metal that looks like a liquid mirror at room temperature, that which formerly could be found in thermometers, the neurotoxin that builds up in the bodies of fish, and the mystic substance crucial both to alchemical transformation and to metallurgy. Mercury represents both brilliancy of mind and illusion, both the faithful transmission of the message and its distortion. Mercury is the medium through which intellection moves, but also the infrastructure for the transportation of meaning. In Greece, there are trucking companies called metaphor trucking. A fundamentally mercurial art is literally the transportation of meaning in the form of matter from one place to another. Language is transportation. The twitchy, subtle sensitivity, the agility, also anxiety of the constant mirror, the faithful mirror, the funhouse mirror. Our problem tends to be not so much that we kill the messenger, but that we ignore him. We ignore the delivery system and focus on content, on the thing delivered. And yet we're living in a moment when those who control the infrastructure, the networks themselves, are distorting profoundly and, in many ways irrevocably, the very substance of the world. Likewise, Mercury stands for in-betweenness. He presides over the space between the human and the divine, between death and the afterlife, between the event and its reporting, between my brains and my mouth, between you and me. When we communicate, there is a neglected third party in on the game. A few years ago I would have joked it was the NSA. Now I might say it is Google and any number of other corporate algorithms. But always it is Mercury. For writers, Mercury is always in retrograde. What I mean is, we understand that language has plasticity, and that it is as much an instrument of confusion and betrayal as it can be humankind's crucial on-ramp to the truth. And here I need to acknowledge that Genesis begins with the word to waver the whole writing-speech differential of deconstructionism, to invoke everything you know don't know about the linguistic turn in philosophy, and to simply state that at this point on the planet almost everybody writes. Everybody texts, and almost everybody writes emails. Mercury is always in retrograde, and yet, now that our lives are so exceptionally mediated, to the point that whole masses of people are somewhere on the spectrum between zombified and demon-possessed in the glow of their smartphone, Mercury in retrograde is more of a gauntlet than ever. The official dates this month are 322 December, and he'll be dancing backward through Sagittarius the whole time. Sagittarius represents philosophical synthesis and big-picture thinking, the vitality, sense of adventure required to discover the meaning of life, the search for overarching principles according to which the good life can be led. The main thing this particular retrograde means is our capacity to see the big picture is going to be seriously incapacitated. Moreover, Mercury is conjunct with Saturn during the first week of this phase, indicating both serious brain damage in authority figures and basically a total leadership breakdown. You don't need an astrologer to tell you that the chaos, viciousness, and mayhem that everything simple and good in our culture and on our planet is being subjected to is utterly insane. Likewise, the pressure this insanity is putting on the individual psyche is incalculable. There are probably people in your life who are losing the marbles right now. You may be feeling pressure on your own as well. If you are someone upon whom others depend, and really we all are, whether we're single parents, freelancers, CEOs, or scenesters, consciously slowing down your decision-making, taking a few minutes to reflect before texting back, tabling your plans and schemes for the future, and communicating with more care than ever will be crucial. I'm not saying stop communicating for 3 weeks. On the contrary, the need to stand your ground and speak your truth is more urgent than ever. But every single syllable you utter must signify hospitality to the very highest good for all concerned. There are inflammatory glyphs in the sky this month. You must drop into the core of yourself and ask with all your strength what the best course of action for you is. Use this retrograde period to apprentice yourself to this question, in all humility, in all sincerity. Practice alkalizing your nervous system by talking to yourself, even your organs and limbs, the way you'd pep talk your most cherished friend. You've heard the normcore astrological warnings against buying technological devices, booking travel, or making career decisions during Mercury retrograde. I'd like to add a simple recommendation, beyond telling you to try to keep your cool and breathe through your printer, eating your resume minutes before a job interview, etc. Propitiation. Remember the delivery system. Remember that you, me, and everyone we know are being massaged hard by the media. If crystals are a thing you do, try putting clear quartz, shungite, and cinnabar on or near your machines, both while they're in use and sleeping. I wonder if it has ever occurred to you to thank the various networks for transmitting, at lightning speed, the substance of your thoughts, your lusts. Possibly not. Possibly because the ethers dump so much immiserating garbage into your devices it's hard to appreciate them sometimes. One needn't be a believer to propitiate to God. It can be done prophylactically. Like Odysseus pouring out libations before setting out on the road, you too can touch the perfect body of the cosmos with your mind. Name the names of your beloveds and your ideals before you enter the fray of the internet, your workday, a difficult conversation, a project. Keep the phone away from the bed. Give thanks before you put your hand on it in the morning. Touch yourself and/or your lovers before you touch your machines. The moon will be full on December 3rd at 10:46 a.m. Est. Calculate for your time zone here at 11 degrees and 40 minutes in Mercury-ruled Gemini. At the same moment, the Sun-Moon in opposition form a T-square to Neptune in Pisces, Jupiter in Scorpio is in a strong trine with Neptune, and Mars in Libra, Uranus in Aries are locked in hard opposition. In other words, this is a moment of reckoning about spiritual self-concept of Earthlings, and likewise about the future of leadership on this planet. What we dream is as much a reflection of the hells on Earth as it reflects our longings and needs. But again, you don't need me to tell you that tempers are running high and that there is explosive pressure on us as individuals and as societies right now. The sky says so, and so does the shithouse wall, as above, so below, as Hermes Trismegistus said. Gemini is depicted in Urania's mirror, from a set of constellation cards published in London, ca. 1825. What I can offer is a few words about Gemini you might not have heard. The cosmic twins represent the duality that came into the world when the Creator separated light from darkness. Gemini is the Zen beginnerhood of the zodiac, and it is good to remember the frolicsome play of babies first discovering the world as the foundation for all adulthood. If astrology functions on the mirror principle, reflecting here what transpires in the heavens, the duality of Gemini also speaks to the magic of diagnosis and to sacred asymmetry. Castor and Pollux are not equal, and as twins, they are ciphers for the riddle of equality. But one had an immortal parent and the other one didn't. One came first, and the other one second. Resolving disharmony into balance, asymmetry into perfect proportion, is the secret algebra of the soul's mathematics. Think back to the caduceus Hermes. Mercury holds the serpent wound around the staff, represents the judicious use of medicine, which can either cure or kill depending on the dosage. And here we're in Plato's pharmacy. I'm citing Derrida in Mercury's allegorical Pharmacon. The serpent poison is wound carefully around the staff, discernment, miming the double helix of our DNA. This symbol, like we ourselves, is a mysterious and mysteriously exact concatenation of good and bad, poison and antidote, rigor and mercy. This month's full moon is full of medicine, but the side effects can be severe. I recommend partying the night of the 2nd, and on December 3rd, you should get up early, hang over a bedfellow be damned, and write your spiritual autobiography. Where did you first hear the word God? When did you begin to cease to believe in a higher power? What experiences have you had, whether within or outside the structures of normalized or organized religion, that have led you toward or away from what, and, forgive the sloppy term, has lately been called spirituality, into what or whom do you put your faith? Who you, and who and where do you come from? Astrology teaches that we have many parents, and most of them are in the sky. Speaking of parents, Saturn, the patriarch of the zodiac, enters Capricorn, the sign he rules, on December 20th, just in time for the winter solstice the following day, during a Mars-Pluto square that indicates sexual rage in the collective. At once a desire to dissolve all existing forms of authority and a cluelessness as to what to replace them with, and looming behind all the smoke and hot air stands the same old bad white father. Ruthless power grabs, reactionary posturing, and a yearning to return to archaic modes of statehood are in the air. Watch out for the adults in the room. By December 22nd, when the Sun follows Saturn into Capricorn, Venus in Sagittarius trine Uranus in Aries suggests structural upheaval but also real progress when it comes to women holding power, while Mercury squaring Neptune indicates but not merely replacing the men in